Well, Ebenezer, I think many people will take a look at your results and consider that it was, as you mentioned, a pandemic here. It doesn't seem to reflect. Many will say the impact of the pandemic has not been very severe on your business. And the big question is how come? But if we can be more specific here, let's talk about your customers. What, in your view, has been the impact? And maybe you can speak to the point as to why it hasn't really translated into the incomes of your business right now.
Well, if we are looking at a pandemic, I think it's good for us to take our mind back and remember that we survive it. We have to give credit to the central bank. Remember, central bank was quite proactive in coming up with the forbearance. They came up with the forbearance, and that enabled us to be able to create some form of restructuring and tenure elongation for facilities to enable businesses to continue to carry on, navigate and transition out of COVID. That to me was a very outstanding move. That helped us to really restructure, sit back. We were able to take a look at customers, we look at you, and we look at the impact of pandemic on your business. We check your cash flow. If I look at it, your cash flow can sustain loan repayment. I look at what your cash flow can sustain, and given the framework CBN has given to us, we're able to restructure. So that, to me, was a very, very positive, it created a very, very positive impact for banks to really adjust and be able to deal with the issues of the pandemic. We're talking about it not affecting revenues. If you start looking at the revenue numbers one after the other, you will find some areas of heavy hits. For instance, if we look at our fees and commission drop. It dropped for so many reasons. One, volume of business was impacted. We didn't do as much volume as we did before. Two, if you look at retail banking and digital banking, at the beginning of 2020, CBN slashed down the charges. I think averagely came down by about 40–50%. So for us, where we recorded a drop in fees and commission of 30%, you see all those ones impacting. But the good thing now is that things are beginning to look up. The sentiments are positive. Not because vaccines have been found, but if you look at Nigeria, we got into recession. We had the first contraction Q2. Q3 was there, it was recession. But then if you look at the numbers, Q2 was a negative of 6-something%. Q3, it was a negative of 3-something%. And some discerning analysts saw it and said, it looks like this country will come out of recession quite quickly. And which happened in Q4. Q4, we saw a positive of 0.11, which is, in my view, very outstanding. So we need to give credit to the CBN, the monetary authorities, for how far they've gone in galvanizing the whole economy to adjust to the reality of the moment. And I think the country is quite resilient. Sometimes, there are so many challenges we face, but there are certain basic things we are able to do as a country that shows our strength, that shows our tenacity, that really shows our adversity quotient. So I think we need to amplify that we came out of recession in Q4, just as we entered. For me, it gives an indication of recovery. And it sends very strong positive sentiment in the market. I mean, people talk about exchange rate issues. For where the market is now, 410, 411, that for me looks like a rate that we say is acceptable. We are beginning to see asset yield go up. So the sentiment going forward is that of improvements, sentiment of recovery. Growth may not be so strong, but at least, in my view, I think it will not be out of place to say that the optimism is there that this year will be better than last year.